Hi everybody, it's Kammi from Flash University, and today I'm here to talk to you about heroes or protagonists, whichever one you write. And I'm excited to talk to you about my top tips, the do's and don'ts of writing a solid hero or protagonist. So stick around until the end, and if you like what I have to say, click like and subscribe, and if you ring that bell, YouTube will send you notifications every time I upload a video. So I've been talking to a lot of authors lately who have been saying, well, the hero's easy to write because they're just the person who saves everybody. They're just reacting to what the villain does. They're just. And I'm hearing a lot of the same things again and again. And really what it means is that authors are giving their protagonist or their hero, their main character of the story, a free pass to just skate through, to just be reactive in the story. And I have to tell you, the stories that are more popular, that really resonate with people, that really get a lot of readers, those books have protagonists that aren't reactive. In fact, they're proactive. And I know an author who's a huge proponent of this is Sanderson, and you'll hear me talk about him a lot because he is just really a fantastic author and a fantastic teacher of the craft. But he said not to have your characters be reactive for the same reason I'm going to say it, and that is that they're boring to the readers. You can write a hero that just is reacting constantly to the things that are happening around them, but you're not going to get the same reaction from your readers as if you had a hero that was proactive, that said, I'm going to go out and get this. I want this. Whatever this is, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go chase my dream. I'm going to go fix something that's broken. I am here for a cause. I am here for this or that or the other, whatever gets them out of bed in the morning. And you hear me talk about this a lot, which is my next tip, is motivation. What is your protagonist's motivation? Are they in it for the money? You know, are they? Because you can have anti-heroes, you know, they save people, but shoot, they sure have their ulterior motives, and they sure don't fit the mold of a hero. And that brings me to my next tip, which is not every hero needs to be an anti-hero or needs to be a goody two-shoes. The reality of this is, in real life, we're all different, right? You and I, we're not the same. If you get me and my best friend sitting next to each other in the same room, we're not going to be the same. Even though we have a lot in common and we love each other, we're not the same, right? We all have different motivations. We all have different family cultures. We all have different cultures depending on where we're from. And we have lots of different reasons for why we do things, right? And so if you don't know what your protagonist's reasons for things are, then it's not going to come across in your writing, and it's that protagonist is not going to feel real to the reader. So the other thing that's really important, and I touched on it a second, is their culture, their economic background, their educational background. These kinds of things are actually pretty essential, because you're not going to have somebody who, let's say they're a government official, they're not going to respond the same way that a basketball player is going to respond. And the basketball player is not going to respond the same way that a recent high school graduate is going to respond, right? We're all going to respond, not just with our words, but with our actions differently. And then this brings me to my next tip, which is something I say frequently, and it's something I'm going to keep saying. You have to use real life. And sometimes you can take that real life and you can mirror it. So if you're doing nonfiction, autobiography, and you're choosing a specific culture, you're going to want to stick very closely to that culture. You're going to want to do a lot of research, and you're going to want to make sure that it's coming across clear in your writing. However, if you are writing on the other end of the spectrum, fantasy, science fiction, things like that, you're going to want to still have an element of real life in your stories. It doesn't give you a free pass. Making up a fantastical world is great, but you have to have an element of realism. And if you take a culture that we're familiar with and then you add it to your fictional world, then it really, and you can even boil that down and make it, I think the quote goes, boil it down so that all that's left is froth. And if I'm wrong, go ahead and type in the comments and tell me how exactly that quote goes. But you're gonna want to have something that feels familiar, some sense of the familiar mixed with the new or the interesting or the fantastical, to really ground your reader and to allow them to have those moments where they can put aside their disbelief. They can suspend their disbelief is another way of saying that. So, and then also you need to pick a character arc. And I've said this before too, but it's really important that your character has a solid character arc. Now, if it's a flat character arc, that means that they're pretty much the same throughout the story. Sherlock Holmes, right? Superman, he's the same. But that doesn't mean they don't have a character arc. They just happen to have a flat one. So if you don't know what a flat character arc is, go ahead and look that up. But there's all different kinds. There's a positive, a negative, a flat, you name it, there's a type of character arc. But if you don't have a specific one in mind, then your character is going to be able to do whatever they want, right? And your character is going to start leading you instead of you leading them. And there should be some balance, right? I mean, the character should feel real enough that you feel like they're making their own decisions, but they shouldn't be dragging you along for their ride, because then the story feels another layer of false. It feels too fantastical. It feels too emotionally driven and erratic to the reader. And what you really want is for the reader to engage with your story, to feel like these characters are as real as they are to you. Because as writers, we put a lot of effort into creating these characters, and in our minds, they're just so fantastic. And it's a matter of getting what's in our brain and translating it down on a paper in a way that's semi-universal. Now, studying interpreting, I learned that language is not universal. The meaning of words is not universal. There's the definition that's in the dictionary, and then there's a secondary that I'm going to say definition, which is the connotation of the word. So an example that was given to me is the word cat. Now, we all know what a cat is, right? It's furry, it has ears and a tail, right? We all know that. But we all picture a different cat. Maybe your cat in your brain is orange. When I picture a cat, it's gray. And that's because most of the cats I had growing up were gray. And so we picture something different, right? And so the words that we choose have an impact. And so if we want to choose the type of words that have a specific type of impact, we need to know what we're going for. We need to have a plan ahead of time. And this does apply to people who are pantsers, who don't want to create this big, long, I don't know. I think Brandon Sanderson is the one that said that he creates all these Word documents of all of his prep and all of his planning for his stories before he does it. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You don't need to. But you do have to have some idea in your mind of where you're going. Because otherwise, how are you going to get there? You know, the famous quote from the Cheshire Cat. If you don't know where you're going, then it doesn't matter which path you take. But if you don't know where you're going, and it doesn't matter which path you take, well, then in the end, you could end up anywhere instead of somewhere that you want to be. So you could end up somewhere where your readers don't enjoy your story. So as long as you have some idea of what you want for that protagonist, whether you want them to grow, whether that you want them to have a negative arc, what kind of education level you want them to have, all those different things, make it clearer to you, and then the words that you choose are clearer to your readers. So it's about choosing those right words with the specific connotation that you're looking for. Because in English specifically, there are so many different options that we can choose to express the same thing, right? But there's going to be one or two that are more right, and then there's going to be several others that are okay, but they don't fit perfectly. Otherwise, why would we have famous thesauruses all over the internet, right? Why would we use them? I use it all the time looking for similar words, right? So I hope this was helpful. Again, click like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And go ahead and comment in the comments below. Is there a protagonist or a hero that really resonated with you? Is there somebody where you just felt like this was a well-crafted character? Tell me who your favorites are.